Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my interviews here at the Louisiana State Capitol, of course in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. With me today is State Representative Sam Jenkins. Representative, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, you know, whenever I watch you, I don't think your constituents back home realize how hard you're working for them. I can see how hard you're working for them, and I wanted to talk about your legislation so we can tell them how hard you're working.
Absolutely. We appreciate the opportunity.
But before we do that, where is your district anyway?
Okay, I'm in North Louisiana. I represent District 2 in Shreveport, Louisiana. That's mostly mid-city Shreveport, and it goes over to Bossier City. That's House District 2.
So you have some Bossier City too?
Yes, we have parts about Shreveport and Bossier City. The Red River divides the two cities. Yeah. But as I said, I represent a mid-city of Shreveport and the western Red River area of Bossier Parish, Bossier City.
All right. So we got House Bill 237 provides relative the administration of tests by the state examiner for certain positions in the city of Shreveport.
Right. Now that's a local bill.
Okay.
It only affects the firefighters in Shreveport, Louisiana. And it's interesting that we had to bring that bill. The population shift in North Louisiana, according to the census, there was thousands of people that were lost in that population. And for that reason, we had to go in and take out the tests based upon population and specifically say that those tests will be administered to firefighters in Shreveport, Louisiana. It does not affect any other area of the state, and it only affects certain positions. But I think the interesting thing about that bill is the fact that we are now challenged with population loss in the northern part of the state, and we're having to make adjustments to some of the bills that were based upon the size of population of our municipality.
Well, I like the fact when people bring up their local bills that don't affect the rest of the state, because one, I like the fact that it shows that you're working for your district.
Absolutely.
And you keep it in mind, not just the people of the district, but the population shifts and how that affects laws.
Absolutely.
That you might have to bring legislation into the Capitol to help take care of the people back home.
That's right. So this is one of those bills.
I appreciate that.
The population was related to it, and we just need to make sure that we adjusted the population because of some of the losses we had in the northern part of the state.
All right. We got House Bill 309 provides relative to small successions.
What we're trying to do with that bill is make it somewhat easier for the heirs to inherit property from their deceased parents. Basically, you could do a small succession by affidavit now. Mm-hmm. You just have to attach a copy of a death certificate for that to happen. But there were some concerns among some of the clerks of court. Some clerks felt like you needed an original certified copy of the death certificate. Mm-hmm. Others just felt like all you needed was a photostatic copy of the death certificate. I'm sorry. So what this bill does is say either one of those would be sufficient to transfer the decedent's property to its heirs. Just trying to make it a little bit more easier and convenient for people to receive their inheritances.
I like that this bill, what this sounds like, I said not that just makes it easier, but there's probably a lot of families that can't afford a high-priced succession through an attorney, and it sounds like this right there is kind of like, small claims court for people who can't afford an attorney. This is kind of like the death of the death benefit or transferring the death benefits of somebody, and a family that's poor. This gives that family the ability to be able to transfer and, I guess put everything to rest, so to speak.
That's right. It makes it a whole lot easier, less expensive, as you're describing. But also, we don't want barriers in the way when people are basically trying to inherit from their parents.
Right.
So if the father or the mother has passed away and have left children behind, we want to make that process as easy as we can. So what we're trying to do with that bill is move the obstacle of the certified copy of the death certificate being the only way to make that transfer happen. Now you can use the certified copy of the death certificate, or you can use a photostatic copy of the death certificate. You file that with the clerk of court, and if there's a house that's in your parents' name that you're trying to transfer to the children, this process helps that to happen without a lot of expense.
I like that. Easier and less expensive. House Bill 357, like that number, provides relative to polling places.
Once again, our state is faced with a lot of acts of God, storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and what this bill has been filed is in response to the fact that sometimes this do affect elections. In other words, most precincts have a polling place that the people in that precinct are familiar with, and they know where it's located. But suppose a storm comes along a week or so before that, knocks out the power, or literally may destroy that polling place. What this bill would do will allow the Secretary of State to work with the parish president or the parish administrator in that parish and relocate that polling place to a more safe, convenient place so that the election can proceed. That's what that bill does.
So it allows that. So it allows that precinct to relocate. You said.
Well, we can locate the polling station in that precinct to another place in the precinct.
I got it.
As long as it's convenient, okay? Because what we found from a lot of the storms that happen down south, and to some extent in North Louisiana, sometimes you lose power at certain places, or the buildings are so damaged, it's not safe for people to go in, but you may be a week or a week and a half out from an election day. So what we want to do is make it easy for the Secretary of State to work with the parish president or the parish administrator in a parish so you can relocate the polling place to a more convenient location where the election can still move forward.
Yeah. What I like about this is I like making our elections more accessible to people because I want more people to be involved in our election process. And it sounds to me like a bill like this helps that process.
It helps the process.
And I thank you very much for making sure it has that. There's another bill that another legislator has that actually, in the event of a storm, helps the people get notified.
Exactly.
So, like, it sounds like yours helps that polling place move easier.
Correct.
So you can continue the election process, make it more accessible.
Exactly.
But there's another bill in the legislature where it actually gives people notice.
Absolutely.
So I like the fact that two legislators are doing things to help in a storm event of a storm or a natural disaster where people can still be able to have access to voting.
Right. It's a way of life in Louisiana, unfortunately, so there are bills coming through to address reactions to storms and how they affect the polling places in our elections.
So House Bill 995, it's going to be a long one here, establishes the Louisiana Family and Medical Leave Fund in the state treasury for implementation costs associated with a state-funded family and medical leave program.
Right. Now, basically what we're trying to do with that is establish a paid family and medical leave program in the state of Louisiana. There are some states who have these type programs. I want to be quick to say that we're not trying to place any kind of mandates upon employers to fund the program. What we're trying to do, first of all, is do a study to see what types of programs exist out there in other states. Can we adopt some of those programs or parts of those programs as a model for Louisiana? What that bill sought to do was to set aside some of the American Rescue Act monies as a means of helping to be a seed fund to try to get the program up and going. What we have been successful in doing is putting some money into the budget to do the study that we think needs to take place first. So we're hoping that study will go forward, where we can see what that study brings back, and the legislature can begin to really vet what would be a good paid family medical leave program. Then we can actually look at how we go about funding the program.
So this is kind of like a launch pad, if you will.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like a pilot program, a launch pad, make sure it works
Absolutely.
before they put into full force.
Right. You know, you have some provisions out there now that if an employee had to come off of work and for birth of a child, adoption of a child, some kind of critical illness, their job may be protected, but they're not getting any income. So what we want to do now is see if we could come up with a plan that could give them some percentage of their income while they're off for those types of events. So that's what this program is all about.
If I'm not mistaken, there's a national program that actually guarantees people's jobs, but this would be the state program. The state program that reflects that, but with pay if it's if it's within a state budget.
Absolutely. That national program does protect people's jobs, but it does not pay them. I think the national program are looking to the states to see if we could come up with plans that could actually give some kind of compensation to people who offer certain events.
Right.
And this is, as you said, the launch pad to try to get this up and going in the state of Louisiana.
I tell you what, Representative Jenkins, you're on it. Your last bill is HCR 75. It commends Dr. Jeremy Camille on his contributions to Louisiana State University and the state of Louisiana.
Absolutely. I was happy to give that commendation to Dr. Camille, the LSU School of Medicine is located in my district up in Shreveport.
Right.
He's done some great work, especially in the areas of COVID-19 and other diseases of that nature. He's highly regarded,
Right.
in his profession, and he's been chronicled greatly by a lot of the magazines who are following COVID research and COVID cures. So I was very happy to have him here at the Capitol and to commend him for the great work that
And
he's
in
doing.
your district?
Absolutely. The medical school in Shreveport is in my district too.
See, I like when these local bills,
absolutely,
not only reflect that you're looking out for the people in your district, but a bill like this, you're commending somebody, who did something important in your district. And this is a way to thank them for their service.
We're all looking to see if we can address diseases like COVID and the variants that come from COVID, and he's on the front line getting that done. So congratulations to him once again. I think Dr. Camille is doing a great job.
Well, Representative Jenkins, is there anything else you want to bring up before we leave off?
Well, I think that covers the legislation and the points that I'm trying to accomplish and achieve during this session, and we certainly appreciate this opportunity to talk to the public about what we're doing.
Well, I think it's important to let the people know what you're doing, and I appreciate how hard you're working for the people in your district. And everybody else, please share the interview, and also this will be on a podcast at any podcast app at William Wallace for America. Thank you so much. Thank you, Representative Jenkins. Appreciate it.